Hi, folks. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. Today, I bring the head of the state, the chief of the state, the governor of the state, my good friend, Governor. How you doing?
Doing
Governor
good,
Dan McKee is with us.
I'm good.
And my first question out of the box is: you were put into the governorship, or got thrown into the governorship after the governor left, but this is your first. You just finished 1 year as the elected governor.
Yes.
The first of the 4-year term.
So this is be 3 years as governor.
Right.
And we just finished the first year of a 4-year term, and on the things that matter, we're doing pretty good. So the things that don't matter, Bob.
And how much do you like or not like being the governor?
I think it's a great opportunity to do exactly what we've done our whole lives, you and me.
Yep.
Whether it's the Toys for Tots or whether it's the issues I did with the Boys and Girls Club,
Yep.
it's just a different level of trying to help communities do their best. That's what I do.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a little more strenuous being the governor. Than
well,
all that stuff, especially with issues like we're going to talk about, right? Without getting.
We're not ready to talk about those issues yet.
We're not ready to talk about.
You got to set this thing up a little bit.
No, I said that's what I was
Get
going
me a
to
little
say.
bit,
That's what I was going to say.
a little more comfortable before you kind of lead into this.
We're going to talk about fun stuff before we get into.
No, we'll get to the bridge.
No, I didn't say it.
We'll get to all that. And then I want to talk about some serious policy like raising incomes in the state of Rhode Island. But before then,
okay,
it's your show, so you do whatever the heck you want.
Where's your, who's it, Kate? Was your state trooper?
Today,
She's not here. What
Kyle
happened
is
to her?
with us.
Is she still with us?
Oh yeah, Kate's still with us. She was in Washington, D.C. at the National Governors Association meeting this weekend with us, with Kyle.
Yep.
That's the one difference. I do travel around with people who kind of keep me safe, which Susan and I
very
really,
nice person.
really
I liked
appreciate.
her a lot.
Yeah.
I liked her. Many times that you were doing your thing,
they
talk with
they
her.
become they're part of the family.
Exactly.
They sit down and have meals with us, and it's really important. And when you're out there with, like this past weekend with the National Governors Association meeting, there was 42 governors there from both Republican and Democrat, and they all came in with their entourage because it's at a very high security. When you put that many leaders of the country in one spot.
Yeah. Now that's got to be an uptake from being lieutenant governors. You were the head of.
Well, I had you keeping me safe, Bob.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know how safe that was, but
well, you survived, didn't you? You're here. You're here to talk about it. So
I count my blessings. I count my blessings every day, Bob.
I said that all right.
Yeah.
But you went from the lieutenant governors, the head of the lieutenant governors conference.
That's right.
To now you're with the governors conference.
Yeah, and I'm kind of getting to know governors. I mean, I was, we were with the governors of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. When we actually had the meal with the president and the first lady with the cabinet members.
We'll get into the president.
Yes,
but talk about the governors.
Well, I was just saying, I sat with. Susan and I sat with Governor Carney from Delaware. So we were the Delaware Rhode Island table at the White House.
49 and 50.
Yes. So, but I think, it wasn't an accident that the president's staff put. He's very much focused on our small state. So that's a good thing. But we'll talk about him a little later on.
Yep.
But the governors, that's an experience. And then for my wife Susan. Meeting with the spouses, the first spouses.
Sure.
And then in that case, really interacting with Dr. Biden, Joe Biden.
Well, isn't that a coincidence? No, she's a teacher. Your wife's a teacher, right?
Yeah, and Dr. Biden came in on some of the things we're working on education a year and a half ago to Rhode Island College, and where we're establishing this cybersecurity school. So with Congressman Langevin. So that. Experience, not only is it a new one for me and it's one that's pretty special, but also it's about really comparing notes with leaders from both Republican and Democrat governors, talking about issues that we are engaged in regardless of party lines, whether it's housing or it's education, whether it's immigration. All those things came up very front and center in those conversations, and it's in a setting that is, at least to me, it's impressive.
Sure.
I don't think I'm impressive, but I can tell you that setting's pretty impressive.
Did you run into Louisiana governor? I know you like the
So-
lieutenant governor back in the
Yes, yes. So Billy, he's still a lieutenant governor, Nungaza. But I have met the governor. He's actually outgoing governor now. Right now, John Edwards, and he's been a gentleman. I tell you one thing. When you come in, as you said, into the COVID, coming from lieutenant governors to the governor's office, it was extremely important that Governor Baker, I saw him now. He was there actually talking about NCAA issues with the governors this weekend.
Right.
This past weekend. But to be able to call Governor Baker about what's happening, whether it's in the health issues that we were dealing with, or the economic issues, was very helpful. And Ned Lamont, who's now still governor of Connecticut, they opened up their phone lines directly to you. So this.
Well, that's good.
Just
have
like
them in your
yeah, just like I felt as though the lieutenant governors was a great networking strategy.
Right,
the
right.
governors are well. So when you talk about the governor of Louisiana, John Edwards, I've been in his company. They had a meeting in New Orleans last December, which we were at. Susan and I went to. So you're only there for a short period of time, maybe 48 hours, but you're in meetings with the governors.
Do they break them? They must break them down into subcommittees, right? Is that how they work?
They do, but some of the meetings is just broad-based meetings, right?
Right.
So if you're having lunch, for instance, that's when Governor Baker came in and talked about the NCAA, talked about the issues about betting, talking about betting on college sports, and a lot of young kids, 18 to 20, under 21, are betting a lot, and this is a concern for us.
It is. I find it to be a concern.
Yeah, they call it the proposition betting, I guess, where you can bet on who's going to make the next foul shot, who's going to make the next turnover.
Oh my God!
And it was pretty. But anyways, that was a sidebar conversation that the governors were interested in, because most of our states now have a sport betting procedure now in the states. Rhode Island's one of them, as well as Connecticut and Massachusetts. So you're comparing notes on whether it's, like I said, immigration, education, housing, health, and you're in that level. You're bringing in the top experts in the world,
Right.
because you're dealing with governors that are, really some of the top leadership in the country and top leadership in the world.
Now, did you run into the governor of California?
I did. I did.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, he was there. He brought in more state troopers than I needed to come in. I guess he felt as though that on a per capita basis he needed to be protected more than me. But he was there. Governor Newsom was there, and I've had discussions with all the governors now.
Yeah.
And it's just a process now, getting to know them a little bit better, so that you're building relationships with them. But Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, I called him immediately when the bridge went down, because when we had to close the bridge, because he had a bridge.
He had a big deal there.
So
right on 95,
my
right?
point is, Bob, is that the
So you're
governors.
getting to the bridge. I didn't want to start on the bridge.
No, I'm not ready to talk about the bridge yet.
Up,
I'm not ready to talk about the bridge yet. I'm talking about the governors now, and the conversation I've had with governors, which is very productive for us, and it's aligned us into a spot where the things that are important to our state are important to other states, and the politics is really not prevalent in those discussions that we have with governors, with the fellow governors.
Well,
It's nice that people are so frustrated by all the noise and the toxic type of discussions that go on in Washington and on our lives on a day-to-day basis. It's refreshing to actually be with leadership, national leadership, that is focused on the things that matter to the people that live in our states.
Well, governors get a lot more done than congressmen and senators do.
Well, evidently.
Yeah, because they're always fighting and bickering.
That seems to be the least liked. Hey, when governors are a lot more liked than Congress right now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so not necessarily that we're liked as much as we want to be liked, but the fact of the matter is we do to get things done, and I have my feet on the ground. I'm still doing 39 community tours, as you and I did when we were there.
Yep.
I got a new one coming up that's going to be interesting.
Where? What category?
So
we had the farms.
So let's talk about
the restaurants. We had the
we had the
diners,
farms, the restaurant,
manufacturers.
the diners, the manufacturers, did the used car dealers.
Yep.
All in the effort to kind of.
I would have loved to have done. I didn't do that with you.
The used car dealers.
I would have loved to have done.
Yeah. So that was one, and then I was in the middle of an art tour, with art businesses, things that were in the art industry, when the COVID hit. So, but this next one, which I'll jump to over the bridge, and I'll jump over all that.
Over the bridge, huh?
We'll jump over the bridge and all that. And then we'll talk about the raising incomes, because I'd like to talk about the next process we're doing. We've had the Learn 365 right at RI. We talked about that here with you before.
Yeah.
We got 38 out of 39 communities have signed compacts to help add an additional a minimum of 1 million extra hours of learning time out of school to help us reach those goals, which Massachusetts is considered the top performing state in the math and reading. We're going to meet or exceed them by 2030.
That's a tall order.
It is, but
Massachusetts
you know me, I've never really
No, you don't shy away from things.
No, we have to set goals that you can actually measure.
Right.
We can measure that. Isn't that you're going to know what progress we're making year over year just on the outcomes there. I can tell you that we're focused on, which I hope that the listeners are really appreciate, we're focused on attendance right now in that area, right?
I noticed you great inroads with the
major
increase in the attendance.
22%. We're up 22% on attendance.
I've been watching that.
And I think the number is over 260,000 days of school that are now, that students are in school that
more
than last year.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and we can track on an attendance board, comparing chronic absenteeism this year to last year in every school in the state of Rhode Island, and anybody can see it by going to the RIDE website. They can all see it. If they're interested in their community, they can actually track where we are on absenteeism, and you can actually show that we know that young people who are chronically absent, which is that over 20% time frame, like over 18 days a year, which is 10% or more. But we know that people who are 20% or more will score 15 to 20 points less lower on their reading and math.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're anticipating that people will be really more prepared to take those tests now that we're up by that 22%, and that we're not done yet either, Bob. We got a ways to go. But we're going to be opening up, since I've showed you, we're going to be opening up 28 learning centers in the state, all around the state of Rhode Island, rural, suburban, urban communities. And they're going to be focused on, this is, we're taping in East Providence today, right?
Yep.
East Providence is going to receive close to $5 million to create a learning center that they're going to try to incorporate that into a community center that'll focus on education, on jobs, and on health every day of the year. So it will move us in a direction that we need to do, on the academics. And then I would say too is that we're also investing in our CCRI, Rhode Island College, and URI in a real significant way, because we know that people who complete their degrees, whether it's associate degrees or a certificate degree for a trade, or a 4-year degree, we know that they will earn more dollars.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
We know that.
If you don't have any more questions about education, I can talk about.
No, we can't. No, we'll still talk about education.
Okay, all right.
How many cities and towns get their money from the state too? Right. Central Falls and Providence.
Central Falls and Providence are considered state-run schools.
Right.
Central Falls has been far too long. We're making preparations that Central Falls will get their schools back in a period of time.
Do they want them back?
I think they should want them back.
Yeah.
But it's time. It's time, and so we're structuring governance. Talking about governance models, and we're talking to the leadership there. But it's time. That has not been a real successful time frame, that 30 years that the state has intervened in that.
It's been 30 years since they took. 30 years.
Far too long.
So
I think schools.
Wow, I didn't realize it was
I believe
that
schools belong in the communities under the community
city,
control.
in the
So
town.
we're gonna work towards that over the next 2 years or more. I think we'll see a plan that will evolve that will do that. But Providence schools was something that was there when I came into office.
Yep.
But it got delayed. COVID did a lot of delays into.
A lot of damage. COVID did a lot of damage.
Attendance. There's certainly a recovery here. That needs to happen. And we're in the process of doing that. So Providence, the state needs to hold on to that a little longer. Commissioner Infante Green is doing a strong job there. That's really focused on making sure that Providence is doing better. Providence last year it increased its math and reading not to the levels that I want to see them at.
Oh,
but
yeah,
on
it's kind of sad,
But on a
actually.
percentage basis, they outperform the state increases. So if we can
The
continue,
increase, yeah.
yes, we can keep on increasing Providence's outcomes on its reading and math at higher percentages than the rest of the state, then Providence is going to continually get stronger. So I'm very involved in the Providence schools, meeting with the RIDE about that weekly, if not bi-week, every week or more than once a week. We've staffed our office up with educators so that it's actually professionals that are connecting in to the education piece, not just amateurs like me and maybe you. I don't know. I don't know if you put yourself in that category.
No, I don't put myself in that category.
No. So, but we got good, strong expertise that is connecting in. And then what we've done is we brought in Shannon Gilkey, who's the Commissioner of Higher Ed, to participate in this whole overall effort on this raising our outcomes, raising our attendance, and of course raising our FAFSA applications. And people out there, we should be, and you have kids that are students that are moving out of high school. We want you to fill out the FAFSA application so that if you're entitled to some level of Pell Grants, you're getting them.
Right.
If you're entitled, if the the low interest loans, the Stafford loans, which Susan and I used for when we were putting our children through, our kids through college, they were helpful.
Yeah, sure.
So anywhere we can find help to continue education.
Now the Pell Grants, do they qualify, trade schools qualify for the Pell Grants?
They do.
They do.
You know, and especially at CCRI, for instance, which I extended the promise, which allows students to go
2
there
years?
last dollars, 2 years. But I was there with the Secretary of Education. That's the other thing, is that as a governor, I really appreciate a president that has their cabinet members in our state at a far more consistent basis than any time in the state's history.
Yeah.
So last week I was with the Secretary of Education Cardoza at CCRI, and what did we do? We looked at their CTE program there, where they're training kids to work in manufacturing. And it's not the old school manufacturing, which is kind of dirty and grimy. This is computerized manufacturing. And so the young people that were in that program can participate in the benefits of a Pell or benefits of our college promise, a promise for the education there. So CTE is a big deal right now, which means that's the career tech education. That becomes something that is going to become more of a really important piece of this whole education effort, so that young people reach their potential on their reading and math skills, and then they can go wherever they want to go, wherever their aptitude brings them.
Well, that's the big thing. I mean, math, you got to have math.
You got to have
you
math.
can get away with not having English literature, but you can't get away with not having math.
In that tour of CCRI into the CTE program, we met with the teachers there, and they were talking about the math programs that they were putting in place to set up the programs that were actually the machines were following the formula that has been put in, and then it's cutting the pieces of metal accordingly, right? The dies, yeah. So the education piece, important piece, Bob. It was important for me when I was in there.
What's going on with that 360, that school in Providence? What happened with that school?
Yeah, so I mean, what the decision there was, again, is to make sure that we're as efficient as we can in Providence, where we're closing down old buildings and building new buildings. We expect last year 50% of the students to be in like new or new buildings within 3 years. Right now, we're actually increasing that. So this effort of closing down that school inside a school. That was a high school that physically was in another high school.
I was going to say that. It ain't like you're sending them across town.
It's not a standalone building.
Right, it's next door.
It's basically a program that existed inside
within a building,
inside of a high school.
Right.
And so what the decision that was made was, and again, I will support the decisions that are made by professionals over people who are just making a lot of noise, right? So there might be a little noise around that right now, but it's not coming from the professionals. The idea is, in Providence, they would like to make all the high schools a kind of a specific type of discipline, whether it's arts or whether it's life science, which is there's going to be something that's going to be, one of the schools is going to be focused on life science. It's going to be, the curriculum's going to be, basic.
More narrow.
Well, it'd be narrow in terms of like
scope.
a particular area, but it's
Right.
still talking. You still got the normal courses you would
core
have.
courses, as
Yeah,
they
the
call
core
them.
courses. Yeah, you
Right.
still have that, but you would have the idea is, and this is the thought that the commissioner has, and I support the commissioner, that you can, Hope High School could be this art theater one. We've just put hundreds of thousands of dollars into retrofitting their auditorium there. It's beautiful now, state of the art. It had been let go for so many years. That was my top priority when I came in as governor as far as the Providence schools. Besides getting the school contract settled, it was not settled, and we were able to get that settled. And I've had experience in that. But was to take care of that Hope High School's auditorium. What a mess. You could not, it was like
That was
going
a mess
in.
when I went to West High.
Yeah, well, what a mess. And so you couldn't even turn the lights on, quite frankly. Now you go in that, it's a top-notch auditorium.
Yep.
And it's going to have all the ability to kind of really, whether it's in music or whether it's in theater, those young people and the community itself are going to really benefit from that. So
Well, it's a good-looking building,
So
too.
we're investing in buildings. We're investing in the professionals there. We're investing in strategies that create efficiencies. And I think that the program that is in place is going to really gain a lot of momentum in Providence. My goal is that Providence schools, just like when I was in Cumberland, I wanted our high school to be a school of choice. That's why I invested close to $50 million into that campus way back when on the athletics, the arts, and the academics. We want Providence Public Schools to be a school where any family that lives in Providence would be happy to send their student there.
Well,
their
doesn't
child
it
there.
hurt that, 46 or 49 languages spoken in Providence?
Well, it is, but I mean, that's why we're investing in that. That's just a fact of life right now, that the Hispanic community is growing at a fairly rapid rate. They're going to be able to contribute to our community just like any of other our communities. I mean, we grew up with the Portuguese community, who was just first in at that time. Language was a difficult thing. We've over a period of time that's been overcome. The same thing's going to happen in the Hispanic community, but we got to invest in that. So my budget invests not only in the ELA space, so that we're helping students become language efficient in English, but also respecting the language that they have as well. So
Now,
they can
are
learn,
they
so.
required to take English
Of course.
courses?
Of course, language immersion is the whole idea, is to take people from where they are and so that they're proficient in English. But also in the reverse, let's take students that are proficient in English and let them be proficient in Spanish.
Well, why Spanish? Why not Italian?
It could be Italian, but
Or French.
into international language that would help our economy, right? It's going to help our economy. So the education piece is a real important piece to me, and I think that we can meet or exceed Massachusetts levels by 2030 if we get this whole buy-in with municipal leaders and the business community and the school community and higher ed. It's an all-in, all the nonprofits right now.
Yep.
So, and I'll just end with what we've done with these compacts. So with municipal leaders, 38 of 39 municipal leaders are partnering with us.
Wait a minute, who's the one that's not part?
You have to go do your research. You go do your research. So I'm not going to lay out any community here. But go do your research. But the door's still open. You just tell your friends in that community
Want me call
that the door's still open. But in Newport, you have the mayor. I was just in Newport this morning because there was a major meeting on the blue economy. So you have Mayor Zai, who's partnered in with the superintendent, which is ideal.
Yep.
You have partnered in with a number of nonprofits, but primarily the Boys and Girls Club, to help deliver these extra hours. Partnered in with Salve Regina and CCRI with our leadership out of our office.
Right.
And then Bank Newport is like a business partner with them, right?
Sure.
That will help locally organize businesses so that they get on board with this. And then when they open up their learning center, which I think that probably they're going to regionalize with Middletown and Newport, Bob, which is really neat. And they're going to partner in with all those partners I just said.
Now, wait a minute, regionalize what? The school system?
No, they're going to regionalize this learning center.
Learning
So
center,
Middletown and Newport are going to regionalize this learning center that's going to be focused on learning, jobs, and health for a minimum of 5 years.
Why ain't Portsmouth involved?
They decided to do it on their own.
Oh, did they? Because
Yeah.
they are on the same island.
They are on the same island, but we're regional, we're individual, we're working, and our office is working, and each one of those learning centers is going to have a little different flavor to it. Westerly's got a model that I shared with Secretary Cardoza that he's just saying, we've never seen, there's nothing happened like this in the country.
Really?
Anywhere in the country.
That's a good
Well,
thing.
when you bring in everybody that has the same goal,
Right.
and then you create it under the governor's office, which allows us to define what that goal is, and then if everybody works on those goals, collectively in the same direction, that's powerful.
Right, sure is.
Yeah.
Take a drink. 38 or
Okay.
39. I'm going to find out who that 39 is right now.
I don't know if you'll find out that, but just let your friends know in that community they're very much invited to come in.
They're invited to come in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be distributing another $4 million very shortly into those compact communities for programming, ahead of the money that's going to come in to actually build out or retrofit space that they have identified for their learning center. And then we have another, which we said, we have another $5 million that's in the budget to continue to support these municipal communities. We have a nonprofit we set up, Bob, called Always Learning. That Always Learning is a nonprofit that is going to raise $1 million a year to help provide guidance to the municipal leaders in terms of how to deliver the education in a way where it matches up to what's happening
in other communities.
Yeah, well, that's a nonprofit that'll make themselves available to any municipal leadership that has signed the compact, so that we can provide them guidance of how to deliver this extra learning time, whether it's in their learning center or whether it's in the rec department or wherever they might have. Everybody has a different path there, but that's going to allow.
You're trying to put them all on the same path, is what you're
What you're trying to do is you're trying to get everybody under that one goal of meeting or exceeding Massachusetts levels on
Sure.
reading and math by 2030. I think you're going to get there.
Yeah. That's a tall order, I think.
Well, you want to bet a buck? Huh?
We'll get into gambling. He'll get into gambling.
Oh yeah,
Sports gambling.
the sports gambling. Yes, that was a topic with former Governor Baker. Very concerned that we got to make sure that that young people are not getting into into debt.
I can see it.
Because they have these phones are so accessible, they can do it right off this phone.
It's too easy to do it.
And so
I purposely don't put myself. I'll bet on the Super Bowl or whatever, but I purposely.
Did you win? Did you
actually,
win?
I did. I bet Kansas City. How could you not bet Kansas City?
Well, if you're a Tom Brady fan, you don't want Mahomes to get as many rings.
Yeah, well, he may not. I mean, he's got a long way to go to beat Tom Brady. He is phenomenal, though. I'll give him that. He is phenomenal. He's got something that Brady didn't have.
Okay.
Legs.
So what do you want to talk about on
likes
this hour with Bob?
Well, before we get into the serious topics,
Yes.
let's talk about Caitlin Clark,
Oh yeah.
the phenomenon from was it
Yeah.
Iowa?
This is why.
The female basketball player from
Yes,
Iowa.
and
if you
she's
don't
a superstar, and becoming more of a national name because of the rules that allow athletes right now to be compensated
Right.
for the name and identity.
Yeah.
Right.
She's making over $1
image.
million already.
Yeah, name, image, and likeness.
Yep.
That's an area that again the Governor Baker talked about.
Yep.
I think it's a little out of control, but I think that it makes all the sense in the world. Why should somebody who can sing really good
Right.
be able to, and it's in college, be compensated for that singing, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't somebody who had a skill in computers, they could be compensated
Right.
for that computer skill, right?
But
Why
an
wouldn't
athlete can't.
an athlete up to this point couldn't, but I think they
Right.
can now, and I
Yeah.
think they just got to figure out how to control that. But what that's done is it put women's sports in a different spot, right? Because now their name and likeness is being advertised all over the place, so everybody knows.
She filled a 46,000 seat
Everybody know,
stadium.
and Governor Baker was saying that the Title IX, which said that if you're going to have men's sports, you could have women's sports. You have to offset that in college. That has put us in a spot where we are leveling the playing field to a certain degree.
Right.
Look at Rhode Island College's women's basketball program, number 3 in the country.
Correct. Yeah.
Division III. They have that. By the way, anybody who's listening, I don't know, but they have their first watching. They have their first game for the NCAA tournament on the Rick campus on Friday evening.
Wow.
This Friday.
When's the last time that's happened?
They were Final Four last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm all into Rhode Island College with a lot of the things we're working on, including the cybersecurity school that we've opened up there that is now starting to enroll at a very rapid rate, and people who are interested in getting into the program next year, if they're students or they got kids that are interested in cybersecurity with a degree when they come out of college, they'll be earning well over $100,000 in jobs where there's not enough people to fill those jobs.
In that field.
Yes. I think this is something that people watching. This is a real positive thing for Rhode Island. Congressman Langevin, who retired from Congress, he's the preeminent leader in Congress on cybersecurity over the last 20 years.
Yep.
He's heading up that program. We have the likes of IBM, Google on campus right now. We have invested money to get the thing off the ground. There'll be a ballot question, and the General Assembly puts the ballot question on to actually build a school there, a retrofit and current building, and that would become the cybersecurity school and the artificial intelligence or AI.
Right.
We'll be leading in the region with the investment and the skill that is coming in to manage that school. And the students that are in our state are going to be able to. That's going to become a school of choice. Rhode Island College, a school of choice.
I always like Rhode Island College.
So that's going to become a school of choice, and it's going to put us on the map in a way that regionally, where you're going to see people from all over the region, including Rhode Island, that are going to want to go to that school because we're going to invest in it. It's going to be a top-notch school there, and then we're going to ask the voters to really make that happen. I know budgets pretty well, Bob, and we're going to be able to afford to pay that. I think it's a $60 million ask. I think we're going to put a little, some of our state capital in that is already in
So you're saying retrofit a building, not build a new building?
I think that's the plan there. They have a building
cheaper way to do it.
Well, I think it's still going to be expensive. It's going to be $60, $70 million, but it's going to put us in a spot where we're competitive, and that's what Rhode Island needs to be. We want to be the best. We want our reading and math scores to meet or exceed Massachusetts and our great schools. We want college options that we can put there that is going to be an affordable way for a path for a really good paying job when you get out. And we want them to stay in Rhode Island. So that cybersecurity is one path. The other one is this life science thing. We put $45 million in the budget last year to get approved to create a life science hub so that we're drawing from Cambridge on the life science industry. We know we can do it.
Right.
We're in the process right now. If you go down downtown Providence, we're putting the steel structure up for a new state health lab for about 80,000 square feet, and then about 120,000 square feet additional to that 200,000 square foot building is going to be on a private partnership, right? A for-profit type partnership on life science.
Do we still own the building though?
It's condoed out. So so the state will own the state health lab building, and then it'll be privately owned in the same building for the private work. But the synergy there is going to be good, and it's going to be right downtown Providence, which is going to bring more people down there and more jobs down there, and certainly help some of the small businesses in the area. So, and there's several hundred thousands more square feet of life science that's going to get built in that 195. The I-195 area. That's already moving in that direction.
Over near Wickenden
yes,
Street,
moving in that direction. So those are two big areas that we've invested in to create a new path for career paths for people that live in our state. Life science being one of them, cybersecurity being another one, and then wind is another one that we're really working on. We're going to be the hub for maintenance and manufacturing for the offshore wind industry all the way up.
Haven't they already used that for the East Providence down there?
Yeah, we've used the Provport facility to actually provide the the
dock
equipment, the
space
docks and everything
Right.
for New York and beyond. So that's another area where it's going to be interesting. We've created a partnership with Ørsted Energy and Eversource Energy, who is working on that at CCRI to actually train people to work on the wind and on the platforms out in the ocean. So it's going to.
How is the wind, speaking of wind, the turbines that are out there now, how is that? worked
Well,
out?
the Block Island turbines, that was just, that's kind of more of a, it's nice that it's there, but it's not big enough to really generate the energy you need. The ones that are in process now, which is called Revolution Wind, once that's up at the end of 2025.
Right.
We've gone through all the permitting, federal, local. That's going to power 273,000 homes in the state of Rhode Island, Bob.
How many homes are in the state of Rhode Island?
Not much more than that, but
That's a lot of
there's
homes.
600,000, I would think, probably.
Right.
But I would say 30-40% of the
Wow.
households will be electrified year-round at 9.8 cents a kilowatt for 20 years. This is a big deal for Rhode Island. Some people push back, wind and fossil fuels are the deal. We'll never have an oil well in our state, Bob.
Yeah.
So our oil well is wind,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And that wind, if we can
Well,
get.
how about wind versus solar?
Solar's there too. Solar's good, but our ticket is that offshore wind right now.
Yeah.
We have a small, geographic footprint in the state,
Well,
but the
'cause it's
ocean's
windy,
big.
yeah,
But
and
the
it's
ocean.
windy.
So
That
we
area-
actually if you're in your house and you didn't have a big backyard, but you could take down some trees or something like that and have a big backyard. Well, same thing in the ocean. The ocean is big,
Right.
and we get to use that because we have the right to use that because of the that we're an ocean state. So that's kind of a couple of things we're working on. But the piece that we're working on right now is raising incomes and personal wealth, and so that we're going to do the same thing we did on the education piece. And I'll be making an announcement in about a month and a half from now about what that means. But home ownership's in there, education will be in there. Focusing on industries that are upcoming industries like the wind or the life science or the cybersecurity.
Well, I got to get you before you leave because I'm being told we're running out of time.
You're running out of time, and I didn't even have to talk about the bridge.
You're talking about the bridge right now.
Yes.
What's going on? I go over there all the time, man. It's not 5 minutes, by the way. It takes 10
I never
minutes.
said 5 minutes.
No, I know you
And I'm
didn't.
not talking minutes any longer.
Oh, you better not.
But I do want to tell you that it depends on the time of the day, Bob.
Yeah, it does. And it
and-
depends
and-
if there's an accident, too.
And it depends on. I went to Newport today by way of 295. There was an accident there, and there was a 3-mile pileup back up
I
on
know.
traffic.
I saw that. I saw
So
that. Yeah.
accidents, it doesn't matter whether it's in the bridge or whether it's on 295 or whether you're repairing the Newport Bridge and there was a backup there because you're onto one lane on it. Look, traffic is aggravating. There's no question about that.
Yep.
But we're putting up a real-time analysis that tells you what your delta is between drive time before and after.
Right.
Use it. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And then you determine.
Yeah, you got yourself in a spot there when you said 10 minutes or whatever you said, 12 minutes.
All I'm saying is that, look,
At a particular time, optimum time might have been.
Bob, go. I'm going to just direct you to the chart, which is real time, and then you can determine what
Yep.
that is.
Yep.
But I can tell you, if the story is not accurate
Right.
about the time, you're hurting businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're hurting businesses.
Speaking of businesses,
and you're hurting businesses right now. That's why I'm saying, take a look at the chart we're putting up.
Right.
It will tell you the different times of the day about the extra
The
time.
better time to go.
Over and above what it was prior to.
Right.
And then you're going to determine whether or not if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, you're going to decide whether that fits into your schedule. But I'm just telling you,
True.
if I hear over and over again, which I'm just telling you, I just came over the bridge into East Providence.
Yep.
I'm just telling you that was one of the times when there was zero backup.
Well, going over,
So-
going east is not bad. It's coming west. I mean, it's coming back.
Take your
to
watch
Providence.
out and put a stop clock on for,
All right.
for the next
when
time
I
you go
leave
over.
here, I'm going to go over that way.
Put your stopwatch on
going
and then
to.
text me.
No, it's not bad.
And text me what it is. But look, it's an aggravation. It is a big disruption.
But why did it happen?
Well, I want to know that, just like everybody else
But
in the
I
states
don't
wanna know.
understand. I've done a little bit of construction.
Yeah.
And if I hire a subcontractor, like to do a roof or something,
Yeah.
the subcontractor comes out and he looks at it and he goes,
But make sure I got time for all that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But because you're looking up here,
Looking, I
you
don't
know,
know, yeah.
as if you're looking at a bridge right now.
Yeah, I'm looking under the bridge. Yeah.
Okay.
You're looking under the bridge in this case, and the subcontractor's with you, or the contractor's with you, and you're looking around. He's not going to bid on that unless he checks the whole damn bridge out. How could he not have seen that? That's what I don't understand.
On December 11th, I find out I had 5 minutes to decide whether I was shutting down the bridge for safety.
Right.
I shut down the bridge for safety.
Well, I'm not saying it's your fault.
So then we will look backwards, all right?
Yep.
And I'm as anxious to find out the circumstances as you are or anybody else who lives in the state. But my focus right now is moving forward.
Yep.
Right? I've got to figure out that we will fix it, we'll do it right,
Yep.
and we're going to keep people safe. So that's my goal right now. And when I had a sidebar as circumstances with the President of the United States over this weekend.
I know you do have
I coming out of that meeting where the California governor and all these governors and everything else, it just happened. He stayed for questions. The president stayed for questions. Let me tell you, the guy's seasoned and he's extremely good at what he does.
Yep.
So I am not going to make a decision on age. I want a performance. What the guy brings to the table.
Right.
That guy brings more to Rhode Island than we've ever seen.
there's no doubt
with
about
infrastructure bills and everything else that's going on. So I am walking out
Yep.
of the room with all the governors, and it's just me and the president of the United
Right.
States. So we're talking about normal stuff, immigration, whatever it is, and then he leaned in me and said, "What can I do for you?"
That's nice.
And he said, "No, really,
That's
what can I
nice.
do for you?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I need a bridge."
Good.
And he
I'm
said
glad.
to his staff,
Give him a bridge.
"Keep me informed about what the governor
Oh,
just
that would be
talking
nice.
about."
That would
so,
be nice.
so I'm very confident that we'll have the federal delegation on board, the state will
Yeah.
be on board. We will find out what happened, Bob. It's going to take longer because the process is going to be one that's going to be entangled, right? Because
I'd rather get a new bridge than
no
find out
one's
what
going to
happened to it.
admit that they made a mistake,
Right.
so it's going to take time to kind of unravel that.
Right.
I want to know how we're going to get this thing fixed.
Fixed.
I want to do it right.
Yep.
And I want to make sure people are safe.
There you go.
And that's what we're doing. Can we talk about all that?
We're not going to have time. Go ahead.
Just
Give
put it
to
up
me.
and all that. Just
Go ahead.
put-
What's
all that. So all
What is all
that
that?
is another destination marketing campaign, which I know you wanted,
Yep,
right? We
yep.
have the 10th airport in the world.
Yep.
Right, ranked 10th ranked in the world.
Correct.
Top 5 in the country.
Yep.
We're doing destination marketing. A number of people beat up the Stuffy campaign, which was only a small piece of this project. That Stuffy campaign got a National Media Award. All that is our next stage of marketing outside the state
Right.
into particular areas that have direct flights into our state.
That's right.
This is
I
going
love that commercial, the airport commercial. I
yes,
love that.
and so this is going to be part of the economy that we're trying to increase. And it's going to come through destination marketing, which we've never done before. Before I was governor, it was never done.
And we talked about that a long time
And
ago.
so it's all that. And so I want people out there to say, at least have confidence. This is not yesterday. This is not yesterday's.
This is tomorrow.
This is not, this today. And it's not what happened in the past. I don't want to hear about that any longer.
Right.
The Stuffy campaign and everything around that increased our the tourism or the destination by almost 6%, which is a big number.
Yep.
This is going to do the same thing. I want people to be proud about it, but also understand that this marketing is marketing outside the state, not inside the state.
Bringing them in, yeah.
But people should have confidence, and they should really rally around this with their friends, that we are all that. We have the oceans, we have the universities, we have the food, we have the people here.
As I used to always say, it used to piss me off in plain English when people, where you from? Rhode Island. Oh, Long Island. That used to bother me. Because nobody
Well,
ever knew
that's
Rhode
for
Island.
you. It would be nice if you showed that in your next few shows and
I'm
just
going
said,
to. How's
remember
that?
that we're all that.
You're all that. Let me
All
see
right.
if I get that. I can't. It won't
It's a magnet.
Oh, it is, but this is a magnet.
I know that.
magnet.
Well, you can find a way to get that up. That's probably
I'll get it
metal.
up there. Is it? Okay.
But yeah, so all that. Come on.
All that.
And by the way, we flew out to Los Angeles. 20 national media outlets were there to talk about all that.
Wow.
We're on a national show, which I think you've seen. I'm going to get it wrong. The Hudson show. Was it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in the state. They're doing a national profile on Rhode Island on a national syndicated show right now. This
Nice.
is good for us,
It is.
Bob.
It
So
is.
we are all that. And anybody who says that we're not, I think you should challenge them.
All right,
Because
well,
you are all that. You're all in on Rhode Island. And don't let anybody tell you that we're
Well,
not
I'm
all
going to
in
have to have you back. 'Cause
that
I
we're
wanna-
not all that.
I want to talk about...
Don't be pointing at me like that.
We're just security.
Okay.
I want next time I'm going to talk to you about the Pawtucket Soccer Stadium. We don't have time to talk about that now, though.
No, but that's going to be actually a good thing. We're going to work that way through it. And the only thing I would say on that, anybody who's saying that we borrowed $132 million is not telling
Well,
the
that's
truth.
what I want to know. I want to know the truth. I want to know what's going on.
And we have a 10-year restructuring of that loan, in which the finance side got tough because of the interest rates going crazy, and we didn't have anything to say about that. Look, we delivered on the project we said we would, and we
Remember,
did.
I live in Pawtucket.
And we
I'm a
did,
taxpayer in
and we
Pawtucket.
did what Pawtucket asked us to do to help that community. We will build a bridge over the water, and we will
Troubled
build,
water.
and we will. To me, I'm not even talking about trouble.
The song, Bridge Over Troubled Water. You don't get it?
Well, it has been troubled water with some of the publicity that goes on in this thing, but I'm just telling you that there's going to be a good housing strategy there, and there's going to be a retail
You see what you
commercial
got?
thing. Said we're done. We're going to wrap.
You got to rap.
You can cut this any way you
Can you
want.
rap? Can you? You're not a rap.
Bob, you just extend these things. Just say that we're all that.
We're all that. We're all that.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure seeing
Okay.
you, boss. Hang on, you got that thing on. Yeah?
I know.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, folks, we're back on an hour with Bob. I want to tell you right off the bat, I love the governor's a personal friend of mine, and I love to kind of pick on him and play with him. And the fact of the matter is, going over that bridge, he's on the money. Unless, of course, like I said, there's an accident or something. It doesn't take that long, much longer than it normally takes. It probably takes another 5 or 7 minutes from your normal time, because you still have to drive over it. Whether you when you're timing it and you're saying it takes you 20 minutes, well, it still would have taken you 7 or 8, whatever it is. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Again, I love to bust them up, so that's why I was playing with them. Anyway, guess who I got with me? A guy I found out just now. I knew it was a while since he's been on the show, but I didn't realize it was 25 years. Gary Balletto was on the show back in the day. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic, actually. Thanks for asking. I think I was on the show right before a world title fight. We did an interview, I believe.
Right.
So I'm not boxing anymore. I had a horrible accident 10 years ago.
It's
Obviously,
been 10 years ago.
It's been a little
over
over
10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your yard, right? Wasn't that in your yard?
Yeah, it was in my backyard.
You want to explain that to us?
Sure. The only one that was there with me
Was your daughter?
At that time was my son Aiden.
Oh, it was him that was
Yeah,
there.
he was 7 years old.
Wow.
At the time. So, yeah, what happened was, it was a Sunday morning.
Yep.
And I got up and I made pancakes, and like a normal Sunday for us, we made blueberry pancakes. And I called my daughter. She wasn't awake yet. I said, "Daddy's got a pancake for you left." And we went outside to play in the yard. And it was only a couple of days before this day that we were at the boxing gym, because I have a boxing gym in Providence. And I said, "Aiden, let me see how many pull-ups you can do at 7 years old." And so he tried doing pull-ups for the first time.
Now, was that when the pipe between the two trees? Is that what?
Yeah, well, this is what led to that.
Right.
So we were at the gym.
Oh, okay.
And I said, "Hey, let me see how many you could do pull-ups."
Right.
I think your brother could do 10 pull-ups at 7 years old. Let me see what you could do. So his first time ever doing pull-ups, he did 20 pull-ups.
No way.
Yeah. And
You outdid your older brother by 10, huh?
Yeah. So, and we were like, couldn't believe it. Like, this kid, what a freak.
Yep.
You know, this freaky strength he had, you know. And he got it from his father. That's what I have to say. But so anyway,
now that was at the gym.
Yeah, that was at the gym.
Okay.
So anyway, Sunday it led to we had a bar that was like a piece of an old trampoline. You know how the trampolines, they have the nice net around them.
Yep.
And then over time, that net gets broken.
So you resourced the bar.
We used the bar. We put it in between two trees in our yard. And unfortunately, I just put it up there for him to practice pull-ups on.
Right. What you have, nails on? You nailed it?
I put a couple screws around
Oh,
it, like
screws.
yeah, sheetrock screws or something like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't meant to spin around it, so
Right.
he started spinning around it. Should have never let him do that. So I said, "Let me show you how to do it,
Uh-oh.
dummy," right? So I get around, I spin around it, and the second time, it just gave way, and that's it. That's what happened. And I landed just the wrong way and broke my neck.
Oh, God.
6 vertebrae in my neck.
Oh,
So if I would have broke 1 or 2,
Yeah.
it might have been fine. You
Yep.
know? But when you break that many, you damage the spinal cord,
Yep.
and then once that spinal cord bends so far,
Yep.
those nerves break apart and they don't go back together.
Yep, yep.
You know, and that's what happened.
oh my God.
So I'm paralyzed from the chest down. But I
But it hasn't stopped you.
it hasn't stopped me at all because
You own a construction company.
yeah, I do. I'm in the building business.
And not like a little tiny construction company
No,
either, right?
we're pretty big. And not only that, I've bought and sold over 100 properties.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a real estate broker, you know, and I've learned to excel in, you know, with my businesses.
Sure.
And I've been more successful after my injury than before.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Comes with
you-
dedication and determination, right? That's
Yeah.
part of the boxing thing, though, I think.
Well, I always worked hard.
exactly.
You know,
I
always worked
remember you
hard.
when you
Yeah.
were boxing in the gym. I
So-
remember you in the gym.
I don't have any special talents different than anyone else, but I worked harder
That's
than most.
most,
you know.
exactly the case.
Right.
Now you got what do you got? How many projects you got going now?
Yeah, so we're building a project in Johnson right now. We just started cutting down trees and taking a house down. We're over there today doing that, this morning. And Aiden's working with me. He's going to learn the business.
Good,
He
good.
decided to come work with Dad, and I think it's the best thing for him
Absolutely.
right now. And he's doing great. And you know, we'll see what happens next.
And Aiden's also following with the dad, right?
Yeah.
He's doing a little boxing, aren't you? Huh?
Yeah, Aiden's boxing. He's
You got an event coming up, don't you?
Yeah, March 23rd at Twin River.
At Twin River.
Yeah, I'm
That's
doing a
huge.
pro-am show. I'm on the amateur portion of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what's your weight class?
132.
132.
Yeah.
What's that? Light feather.
lightweight.
Lightweight.
It's the same as I started.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
funny, yeah.
Yeah, huh?
His brother's
And your
Different.
other son's 29.
29 now. He just
Wow.
turned 29, so.
Wow.
I'm
And he
getting
just
old.
won a big time bout, right? MMA.
Gary just won his 2nd division world title. So he won the world title at 185 pounds,
Oh,
which
he's
is
a big kid now,
considered
huh?
middleweight. Yeah. And then now he dropped down to 170 pounds and he won.
That's hard to do.
It is hard.
I'm trying. I weigh 185, by the way.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Me too. Me too.
I couldn't drop down to
No.
170.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way.
You could do it.
No, that's
You could do
determination.
it.
I don't have that kind of determination. I like ice cream too much.
If you had to, you could.
If I had to, but I
Yeah.
don't have to, so I'm not going to.
Good for you.
So he's got to drop down to 170.
He did, and he just captured.
Oh, he did?
He just captured
That's when
his
that's the one he just
second
won.
world title Friday night at
Wow.
Foxwood Casino. He's a headliner.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful show. The best part about it is he didn't get hurt.
Exactly.
Usually, it's just,
exactly.
you know, sometimes you get injured, but he didn't even get hit in the face.
Really?
So, I like to see no marks on his face.
That's nice.
It's a dangerous sport. It's a
Of
little
course
different.
it is.
The gloves are what are they? 4 ounce, Aiden?
They're,
Like
they're
6
pieces
to,
of
6
leather.
to 8 ounces.
Yeah, but compared to, you know, a boxing
real
glove that's
boxing
10
gloves.
or 12 ounces, it's just big difference. You know, it's almost bare fist.
Wow.
Feels like.
How do you feel besides being proud of
Yeah.
him, you had to be scared to death
Oh
of him
yeah,
in the ring, right?
he had some scares, some dangerous fights already. You know, but he's learning, he's growing, he's getting smarter, better. You know, experience always wins.
Yeah.
You know?
But getting that experience is, when
Getting
you
the
get hurt.
experience hurts. It hurts to
It's
get it.
painful. Experience.
I remember I had all my injuries more so in the beginning of my career.
Of course.
You know, that's when you're learning. That's when
Exactly.
you're taking the punches. And I have to say, I can't even count how many times I got a concussion sparring.
Wow.
And it's dangerous. You know, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful, and you gotta if you're in there and you're getting too many concussions, maybe you should try a different sport.
A different sport, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time. You know, it's a sport.
Especially MMA.
MMA is,
Not-
yeah.
not so much boxing.
Believe it or not, boxing is even worse.
Is it really?
Because it's more head trauma than MMA.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because-
yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, because it's constant and
Right.
you know, it's a
Because in
sport.
boxing, you're mostly, for the most part, you're heading for them. You're head hunting.
If you get knocked down, you can't get back up in MMA. If you get knocked down in MMA, you get either wrestled or they stop it.
Usually, but you know, it's proven that boxing is more damage to the head, and it's a sport that almost guarantees brain damage. So it's not something I.
Well, we
would
hope that's not true.
recommend to everybody. And you know, I never wanted my kids to do any fighting.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not, but.
Oh, it's not the other way around? It's not like
No,
you putting them into it, pushing them into it?
You guys stay in school and be businessmen.
Right.
Because it's a dangerous sport, but you know, our children don't follow what we tell them.
Yes, of
they
course not.
follow what they see.
Yeah.
And that's what they saw, and
Yep.
they saw, you know, Dad did well doing that, and they're obviously natural athletes. So
Now, do you play any other sport besides boxing? Boxing's your
just
way to
boxing,
go,
yeah.
huh?
he wrestled. He
How long
played
you been doing?
football? But he didn't.
I grew up in the gym, but I've been taking it seriously the past like 3 or 4 years now.
Really? That long, huh?
Yeah, I think 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, he won a couple titles already. You know, amateur titles. So
Yep.
he's on his way. But we're not going to rush him. So
Right, you're not going to rush him to go pro, is what you're saying,
no,
right?
no, not at all. So my belief is you're going to have at least 100 amateur fights. 100.
Wow.
I think it's important because you're going to get the experience.
Sure.
And you want to get the experience, you know, when you're young and when you're amateur.
Yep. Now, the
know.
amateur, what, are they still three? Are they 3 rounds,
Yeah.
amateur
Yeah.
fights?
3 rounds.
Just 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Sounds easy, right?
No, it's not easy.
Until you
Not
try
easy.
it.
Is it 3 3-minute rounds, though, right?
3 3-minute rounds, right?
Yeah. And MMA's also.
Well, that depends.
Five.
Some of
5-minute
them,
rounds.
some of them 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
MMA.
so it's 5-5-minute rounds,
That's
which
crazy.
it is
That's
crazy.
crazy.
That's only
Yeah.
title fight. Regular fights are just 3 5-minute rounds.
3 5-minute rounds. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But you don't have time to take a breather of 5 minutes. It's and mixing the striking with the ground game.
Yep.
It's tiring. Wrestling is really
Oh,
tiring.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
You're pulling somebody's
Yeah.
weight in many
Yeah.
cases. Hey, listen, unfortunately, we had the governor on before you, so I shortchanged you, so I'm going to
I
have to
know.
have you back. And you're fighting when? What date?
March 23rd.
March
River.
23rd at,
Twin River.
Twin River.
Valleys.
what time is that?
I think it starts at 5.
March 23rd?
Yeah, I believe the amateurs go on at 5,
Right.
and it'll be a pro-am show. So
Sure.
the amateurs will start at 5, and the pros will start at 7.
Okay.
So you get to see both events for
And
this.
Jimmy's back over there, huh?
Yeah,
Jimmy
he
Birchfield's
got back in.
over there. He got back in.
Yeah, I actually went and I spoke for him
Oh, good.
at the Twin River about
Good.
getting back in.
Well, I can believe
And
that.
why we should be there,
Yeah.
and why we need to be there.
Yep. And I believe that you have a lot of drag there, kid, because I
Little bit.
remember I never seen anybody put so many people in the Civic Center as
Oh,
at your event.
oh,
that
thank you.
was unbelievable.
Thank you.
Other than PC, I don't think anybody's filled the stadium.
Right, right.
Filled,
Imagine.
Yeah, can you imagine
Yeah, I
that?
never thought about it like that.
Yeah. I've said that to people before.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody fill the Civic Center
Yeah.
like you did when
Wow.
your event.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to have you back. All
Yeah,
right?
please do.
All right. Thank
Great
you for
to see you.
stopping by.
Great to see you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Aiden, I'll see you on 5 o'clock
All right.
at Twin River. And folks, I'll see you next time. Thanks for spending an hour with Bob.